Last year, I reached a breaking point where my brain was in such bad shape, I nearly quit and gave up my entire career. However, going through this challenge actually led me down a rabbit hole where I logged over 100 hours learning about brain health and how to optimize my brain's performance. In this video, you'll learn the exact science-based foods, supplements, sleep, exercise, and brain care routines that I follow to optimize my brain. Each step of this framework will give you an incremental boost in your own brain power and extend your productivity further into the day. Following this framework can help you double your productivity. After my third concussion, I was sensitive to light and sound, slurring my words, and had constant migraines, brain fog, and cognitive fatigue. This went on for over a year. Every day my symptoms would get worse, and it didn't help that I was staring at my computer for 60 hours a week. I'm a young CEO of a company that can't really afford for me to be taking extended time off work. What could a guy like me do to take care of the one organ that makes me me? There was a lot of information to chew through, but I was able to distill it down to a simple and easy system that I believe anyone can follow. So I call my framework the D.U.M.B Framework for Brain Optimization in Health. D.U.M.B. I know it's a bit ironic. Now the D really is the first thing most people think about. Diet, guys, I'm talking about diet. So my personal diet is built around 4 main nutrients that have a ton of research supporting them and are also pretty accessible to everyone. These meals have been perfectly crafted to not only fuel my brain, but also to prevent any midday crashes that I might get after lunch. First, I've got my salmon power bowl. I've got oven-baked salmon with garlic, dill, and lemon on a bed of greens with black beans, pico de gallo, and avocado, as well as some homemade dressing on top. So the salmon's packed with omega-3 fats, which are essential for brain health. Every single brain cell is wrapped in a membrane that's also made of fat. So we obviously need a lot of this stuff for our brain to exist and to build itself. Throughout these meals, you'll see there's lots of healthy fats. It's pretty key to what I eat. It's in the salmon, it's in the avocado, and it's even in the dressing that I put on my salad. And these black beans have a special ingredient that make them their dark color, but we'll talk more about that later. My second meal is this Greek chicken salad, which also has fats in the olives, the feta cheese, and the vinaigrette, but just like the Power Bowl, it's based on greens, which are low carb and high fiber and prevent any post-lunch crashes. For breakfast, I'm only eating 2 things 5 to 6 days a week, and my go-to is this Greek yogurt parfait that's got chia seeds for omegas, hemp seeds for fats and minerals, and I also like to add dark chocolate or cacao. Dark chocolate is actually pretty good. It just takes a bit of time to acquire the taste, especially if you've been eating hyper-sweetened Mars bars your whole life. There's also a mountain of evidence supporting the brain benefits of eating this stuff, so it's sort of a guilt-free treat. I also like to make sure I've got some kind of dark or purple fruit in here, blackberries, blueberries, or even pomegranates, because they all contain something called anthocyanins, which are also what give the black beans their dark color. All you need to know is that anthocyanins are like the cleanup crew in your brain. The fats that we eat make up the structure, but anthocyanins get in there and they clean up harmful free radicals and a bunch of other stuff in your brain. Lastly, I like to get some eggs with this breakfast bake. I do this to get something called choline, which helps with overall brain function and memory. I'll cook this up with a bunch of herbs and spices that all have brain benefits or just help with blood flow. I do actually also take some supplements like this hydration mix that I mix with creatine every morning. And this is something that most people will take when they're training their muscles, but I actually take because of the mountain of evidence supporting its brain functions. Creatine's super cheap and totally safe, and apparently the rumors about you losing your hair aren't true.
Oh, baby.
I also take some fish oils to help hit my omega targets. Omegas, anthocyanins, choline, and creatine are the 4 main nutrients I would focus on. However, eating foods like dark chocolate, fermented foods, and lots of minerals are important as well. I've got a complete diet and supplements breakdown with links to all the research as well as the recommended dosages in a PDF that you can get in the description below. Which reminds me, if you enjoyed this video or got value of any kind, it'd be great if you could give this video a like. And feel free to subscribe if you're interested in following along on my YouTube journey. I've got many more exciting videos ahead. Now the U in the D.U.M.B framework stands for unwind, which brings me to where the magic happens, the bedroom. We know the importance of recovery when we're talking about our muscles. This is why it's not recommended to work out your biceps every single day. We need to give our muscles time to recover. I've learned the same thing applies to our brains, which is especially prevalent for knowledge workers. This is why we feel so refreshed after the weekend, because we've had a couple days to recover. We start strong on Mondays, but with each passing day, our brain struggles to fully recover when we rest, which is why we get nothing done on Fridays. I try to do 3 things every night as I unwind and go to bed to maximize my brain's recovery. The most important rule is related to when I'm actually sleeping. Going to bed is kind of like a visit to the car wash for our brain. We have this very sophisticated multi-phase process with various sleep cycles, up and down regulating hormones and neurotransmitters, and we even rinse our entire brain through this process in our lymphatic drainage system. At the risk of oversimplifying, when we go to bed at different times throughout the week, we're entering and exiting this car wash, so to speak, at the wrong times, and we're messing with the entire balance of it. This is why you can sleep for 10 straight hours after a late night and still wake up feeling foggy. I would throw out 90% of all the sleep hacks you've heard and just go to bed at the same time every night, and that will literally trump everything else. Your baseline brain health is just hydration and blood flow. However, the way that we sleep can actually change the way that blood is flowing to our brain, and even lifting up a specific body part can impact our lymphatic drainage that I mentioned earlier. What do you think the best sleeping position actually is? Is it sleeping on your belly, your back, or your side? Based on the evidence, it's not even close. Side sleeping is by far the most optimal position. The other little hack is actually elevating your legs when you sleep. This actually improves the process of lymphatic drainage, which removes all of the waste in your brain when you sleep. As you can see, I got a couple of extra pillows that you can tell I use every single night so that I can sleep in the exact same position. My partner Kayla likes to say that I remind her of the old folks that she used to help at the nursing home. Kind of a bit of shade, but don't knock it till you try it. Now, I'm gonna come back to M at the end of the video because it is a little bit of a twist. So for now, we're gonna jump ahead to B, which stands for behaviors. There are 2 behaviors I try to incorporate into my routine each week that not only supercharge your brain, but also give it the juice you need to function later into the day. And the second one might shock you. It revealed to me how I was unknowingly letting my brain degrade. The first one's pretty well known, and it's just to exercise. However, it can be hard to maintain a regular gym schedule when you're grinding nonstop every day on your business, which is why I have an evidence-based bare minimum that you can do to keep your brain swole, even if your body is not. Research has shown that breaking a sweat midday with a high-intensity workout will stimulate something called BDNF, which is S tier as far as brain health goes. However, I've struggled to actually do this because I have all my client meetings and staff interactions in the afternoon, and I don't want to be stinking up a storm. So if you have the luxury to do a midday workout, that's great. What I've been doing is 3 40-minute treadmill sessions a week at a pretty brisk pace. This has been shown to not only increase the size of the hippocampus and improve memory, but you also look like a badass in your Zoom calls. Now, the second hack, which literally blew my mind, is stimulating something called osteocalcin, which comes from our bones when we do load-bearing activities. Carrying weight and load-bearing our bones is a way for us to tell our skeleton, hey, we're still using you, we need you to be strong. Now, the benefits to your bones seems obvious, but what really blew my mind was that osteocalcin increases levels of testosterone in the body, as well as stimulating brain growth. It's almost like it's sending a message to the brain saying, hey, this body isn't dying, keep that brain growing and strong. This was sort of shocking for me to hear as someone that's neglected to train their body physically for over a decade. I thought because I was working my brain all day, every day at the office, that I was gonna stay sharp as a tack. However, since I spend most of my time sitting and doing very little manual labor, I'm sort of telling my brain that I'm not really living anymore and allowing it to degrade. Stimulate osteocalcin by doing load-bearing exercises so our brains know we're still living and prevent brain degradation. Now that we've covered diet, unwinding, and behaviors, I want to talk about mind allocation, the one thing that can change your brain's daily output starting tomorrow if you implement it. When I was recovering from my head injuries far slower than I needed to get through my duties each week, I realized I needed a 2-part solution. My long-term solution was taking care of my brain, the way that I've described in this video so far. However, I also needed a short-term solution to give me an immediate boost, especially when I was struggling to focus past 2 o'clock on most days. What I was forced to learn has been the single most useful tool for my own productivity, even to this day. I used to start my mornings in meetings, syncing with the team, planning, and so forth. Then I would get through all my emails and pick off the small tasks on my to-do list. I was told getting these small wins would create momentum for the rest of the day. And this is probably true, but it's absolutely the worst advice. These small tasks are usually low complexity and require lower levels of our creative or critical thinking. For me, doing these small tasks at the start of my day was a complete waste. To explain mind allocation, I want you to think of your brain like a ship out on the ocean. When you're the captain of your ship and it's at high tide, you don't want your crew chit-chatting, having meetings, and syncing up. Your ship is high above the rocks, the rubble, and the waves and the wind are here to momentarily carry you forward with a bit of a boost. Your brain also has a high tide. For me, it's in the morning, where my mind is clear of distractions and thoughts and stresses that actually accumulate throughout the day. It's when I have the most mental energy to tackle the most difficult, large, or creative tasks that actually push my business forward. By simply moving the most high leverage important tasks in my mornings and clearing out all those emails, meetings, and distractions, I've improved the progress on those important projects threefold, all while creating momentum and satisfaction that leads into my afternoon, where I still accomplish 80 to 90% of those smaller, less important tasks, because they don't demand the same performance from my mind. This one trick has helped me get the most out of my brain, especially when I was struggling a lot more with the symptoms of my head injuries. It's what allowed me to keep the ship sailing, so to speak, the past couple of years as I've made my recovery. As much as we'd all like to optimize our brain's performance, it does have its biological limits. I hope this video has shown you how you can reach those limits and still even reach new heights of productivity by simply being more thoughtful of where you put your mind's best hours to use. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. Till next time, guys.